Joerg Buss is a founder of cybersecurity consultancy Darkscope, which specialises in using artificial intelligence to uncover bad actors on the dark web. More recently, he founded Timpi, which claims to be the world's first completely decentralised search engine. Joerg joins me now to talk about his journey into entrepreneurship. Hi, Joerg.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No problem. So, first up, tell me what Darkscope does.
Darkscope allows customers to understand their cyber risk. So, for the last decade in cybersecurity, we somehow forgot about how risk assessments are done. In risk assessments, we always look into the likelihood of something, and we also look into the impact. So how likely is that my building will burn, for example? And if it's very likely, then we will do something about it. In cybersecurity, it turned around, and we started into looking into the defense. So instead of looking into the risks, we're now assessing the defense. So how well are you already defended? But that doesn't make any sense because every business is different and every business has different risks, even in cybersecurity. So there was a lack on information. So businesses can make an educated decision about what is my risk and what is it I need to do about it. And that's basically Darkscope. So Darkscope delivers cyber intelligence, but it's personalized to the business. And it shows you exactly where is your exposure and what is it you should do in terms of your defense.
How do you find that information? You're trawling the dark web, for instance.
Yep. So we had to create our own search engine, basically. It's an AI-driven search engine that goes out into the internet, social media, and dark web. And the difference is to a common or a normal search engine is that we need to interact with web pages, with a lot of web pages. And sometimes our agents, so we call them, they get stuck by web pages. They have barriers, for example. So what we can do is we can jump onto active sessions, help our bot out, and then the bot will continue with the crawling. So that's the main differentiation here.
Okay. I'm interested in how you got into cybersecurity and technology in general, and you're from Germany originally.
Yep.
So tell me about your path.
I'm old. No, basically, so my career started in 1996, I think. Yeah, 1996. And I had an information security consultant business, you can say. So I was helping in Germany, I was helping businesses with introducing information security management systems. I worked on the ISO 27001 certification, was one of the contributors, and that got me into information security. Mm-hmm. When I came to New Zealand 11 years ago, I noticed that information security was not that much here yet. So even though New Zealand is very far ahead in terms of technology, at that point, when I compare that with Germany, in terms of policies, procedures, that was still a little bit lagging. Mm-hmm. So, and also at that point, cybersecurity came more and more into play, and cybersecurity overtook information security, and a lot of people think that cybersecurity is the only thing you need to take care of. But I then moved also because of information security into cybersecurity and helped businesses with solving problems.
Germany and other European countries do have, I wouldn't say conservative, but they have a very careful approach to security, information security, right? So is that sort of is there a cultural difference that you see between Germany and New Zealand and other sort of, I suppose?
Yeah, I think in Germany we like paper, so we like policies, we like procedures. New Zealand is more should be all right, and we will make it work. Which is great. So it's two completely different approaches.
Okay. And so this business continuity management that you sort of got into, are there similar standards here in New Zealand? Have you contributed to sort of standard maintenance here in New Zealand?
Yeah, so New Zealand has now, or has for a while now, adopted ISO 27001 as well. There's the NZISM, which is the New Zealand Information Security Management or manual. So it has been, a lot has changed over the last decade, for sure. And New Zealand has adopted a lot of frameworks and policies and procedures as well. So it's not, the difference is not that large anymore. And I see a lot of businesses now going into adopting frameworks and then working with policies and procedures, and so that's really good.
And so Darkscope, you started in 2019, was it? Yeah. How did you actually get started with the business? How did that come together? You've got a founding partner as well, right?
Yeah, I have a founding partner, Bruce. It was basically that we sat together and we're talking about, okay, we do have the technology. I was starting developing the technology way before that. But then we formed the services around, okay, what is it we want to deliver to the customer and how do we want to call it? And what is the model in terms of the pricing model and marketing model and so on. So we then together created the services, which is now known as Cyber Watchtower or Cyber Threat Sentinel.
Okay, and what kind of customers have you picked up? Well, sort of the type of customers, big, small?
Yeah, it's a mix. So we have large customers, enterprises from New Zealand. We have from overseas large customers. We have smaller customers. I think with the AI or the usage of AI, we can make it. We can make it work for all kinds of businesses in terms of size. So even if we have a business with 50 employees, they can still use Darkscope services, but it also scales up to businesses with 2,000, 3,000 employees. No problem.
Yeah. And so what kind of risks are you seeing are sort of most threatening for New Zealand businesses right at this moment?
Yeah, it's still the phishing. So identity theft is one of the biggest thing still. I was surprised that we did not get that much from the crisis we have in Russia and Ukraine. So they haven't lashed out to us yet. Either side or neither side has so far attacked us. We do see a lot of movement in Germany, for example, that is related to this crisis directly. So we haven't seen that. We do see, we did see an increase in asking for helping Ukraine financially, and then fraud in this direction. We have seen that increasing in New Zealand and Australia as well. Mm-hmm. So that's certainly there. I think that most cyber groups or most attack groups, they still try to have a financial advantage out of the whole situation. So we don't see a lot of vandalism or hacktivism in this area. It's still money driven.
So how in practice do you use this information that you can gather to actually, I suppose, deter the threats or solve the problem that the clients are having?
Yeah. If you compare your business with a similar business in the same industry, for example, there are differences in the amount of information that is available about you, and the amount of information is directly correlated to your risk. So if no one knows about you, no one can attack you. Maybe randomly, but it's not a targeted attack if no one knows about you. If you have a great marketing team and you have an international business, you might be exposed because a lot of people know you, and also a lot of information is already out there about you. So someone will pick you up more likely, or is more likely that someone will pick you up as a target. The same is what we do. We basically rate and look for information that is out in cyberspace about you, and then we also rate the kind of information. So if you have been already exposed to the dark web and someone is talking or exchanging information about your business on the dark web, that's pretty bad. If someone is complaining about you as an extra employee, for example, that could indicate a risk. If you have a great marketing team and you're really visible, that's again an indication for an elevated risk at least. And that's what we tell and show our customers. So the customer now can see what's our biggest risk. Is it our people? Is it our services, our applications, whatever it is? We can differentiate that and can show you that this area is your biggest risk. Let's say your people. So you spend your efforts into security awareness. And then you address the other areas.
Sounds like a search engine sort of for the negative side of the internet. Yep. Speaking of search engines, I know you've just recently started a new business called Timpy, which I mentioned in the intro.
Yep.
So tell me what that is, and I suppose how you came to get into it just in the past year or so.
Yeah, so I had the idea of Timpy for a while now. I think it's 3 years, something like that. While developing Darkscope search engine, I gained a lot of knowledge, of course, and experience. And the challenge we have today on the search engine market is we have basically two large players, and these Google and Bing. They have something around 96% of the market share worldwide, and there's no real alternative. As an alternative, I would say you need to have your own index. So you need to have your own data source that you use for providing search results. One of the biggest challenges for having your own search index is it is a lot of work. So you need a lot of computer power to actually do that. We're talking about billions of pages. So the only way how you can do it is in a decentralized way. And that's what Timpi is all about. So Timpi is the first decentralized search engine that has its own index and is completely independent from anyone else. So we do can have, or we will have we do actually already have our own search algorithm. We are completely community driven. So the community decides on how we govern Timpi and how the search algorithm is built. So there's not one person who presses a button and I see content that might be biased or not. So it is always unbiased.